Wow, where's Dario? Is he in the room or not? He's probably stepped out. So I just want to compliment him on the broad variety of perspectives we've seen today. And I hope I'll be able to add one more. Final stretch, guys. You're almost there. So bear with me. So, the perspective I like to add is about what we're working on. Also about patient centricity and the specific one about home healthcare, which we see as a big thing coming up. So in front of you, my name is Niels van Namen. I'm responsible for healthcare in UPS in Europe. UPS? Yeah, UPS. So we'll get back to that one. So the largest logistics company in the world, and so healthcare for us is really across the biopharmaceutical space. It's across diagnostics, it's across hospitals, it's across medical devices, and all the different channels that we see in there. My background, the last 22, 23 years in healthcare, started in the pharmaceutical CRO clinical trials world and did different roles and fell in love with the supply chain part of it. Fell in love with how to serve patients, to make care accessible and affordable. So with that, just a quick check. When I say company UPS, what comes to mind with most of you? Shorts. Okay, that's cool. So it's about the shorts of the driver, right? Okay, I'll keep that one. Anyone else? Parcels. So it's a small package delivery company, right? So the guy showing up at the front, your front door with your Amazon book, right? Anything else? Only going right. Why is that again? In the US, right? Left turns are inefficient, you have to wait. So the totally dedicated nav set system where you turn only right because it's much more effective. So thanks for the feedback, and especially that one, it tells about the culture of the company, right? It's an engineering company. It's got engineered quality in there. So it's not real, we're not great at marketing, we're really good at making things work, making things efficient. So if you just take a look back, so we are world's largest logistics company. We're active in all the continents. We don't take any commercial interest in your pharma products, right? We ship things, and we tend to do that really well. And many pharmaceutical shippers contact me and say, Niels, we really want to go direct to patient. We see direct models because the value of the products change. We also see that patients, came up a couple of times today, patients change their behavior. So patients are acting much more like consumers. We talk about choice, convenience, control. Like the Amazon book. They want to have it, now the medicines not shipped to their homes, they want to have it shipped to their work or the back of their car. And again, that all needs to be compliant, right? That all needs to follow the GMP guidelines that we're having. And in UPS, we've got 60 global warehouses dedicated to healthcare. In Europe, we have our own pharmacy-enabled supply chains, right? In the UK, we have our own pharmacists on the payroll. And we see it move, so it's probably not the guy in the shorts, to your point, that's probably gonna deliver and administer drugs. But we see a blend network. We had an acquisition in the UK called Polar Speed, where we have a network of nurses, where we're delivering to the patient's home, typically where the guy in the shorts stops, in front of the threshold and hands over your book. Now we have a network of nurses going into the patient's home. And actually, we have our pharmacists dispensing, we have nurses administering drugs at home. It's shaking things up because it's still about making sure that the quality is there, making sure that we create density to put costs down, again, to make sure we assure affordability and accessibility of care. So it's next conference, right? So I'm here also to learn from you and hopefully we can interact on how that could work, how that home healthcare could be facilitated for you guys as well. And while we're creating our further strategy. We have another brand called Markham, where we facilitate clinical trials. We've seen enormous influx of virtual clinical trials. So not going any longer to the clinic, but at the patient's home. And with that, we send nurses to the patient's home actually to draw blood. Put it in a preconditioned box and make sure it's sent back to the central lab for testing. Right, so we go direct to patient, but also direct from patient for many of these different clinical trials we're having. So hopefully I'll just gave you a tip of where we're moving. So it's a bit more than just the guy delivering your Amazon book at the doorstep. It is really going deeper. And again, we see different networks where we're making use of the big brown machine, right? We have big blue on stage today, but big brown machine as well to make sure that things get across the world in an efficient. Sorry for the long introduction. So UPS really, and then talking about the healthcare at home. So maybe some of you have seen it, and if you've not seen it, then I would love to get your feedback through LinkedIn. But again, of course, recently on a TED stage, if you know what it is, but it's a TED talk I did on how we see that the hospital of the future is going to be in our home. And yeah, no, not everything. Hospitals will still be there, especially for acute care, right? But we see the chronic conditions that a lot of that care can actually move to the patient's home. Driven by things we've seen today as well, how costs get bigger, how costs in the US went up over the last few decades, and how in Germany, in this case, the cost of healthcare as part of GDP is increasing massively as well. So how do we control that? We believe this is one of the things to keep, again, healthcare accessible for going forward. One of the other things is that we see avoidance of care. So this is a US number where 64% of the Americans are avoiding care due to cost. And we see back to that chronic and to that acute condition that recent research from Gapta shows that about 46% of what we currently do in a hospital could move to the patient. And again, remember choice, control, convenience. Many of these patients, like I refer to here, my old mom, 82 years old, God bless her, it's a lot of work to get her to the hospital a couple of times per month. So why not bring the hospital to her? Right? Why not facilitate, make sure that we do that? And so what I also did in this, so we talked about these bigger topics about cost and how to arrange these things, but there's also smaller things, like indeed people saying, where do I go with my dog, right? When I need to go to a hospital. And actually I use this, is our dog. I use this in the TED Talk as well, and it's great to see 1.5 million views, but most comments I get on how cute the dog is actually in there. So that's part of that TED Talk as well. But it's really about that patient centricity. I love this book that hopefully you read it as well, which is really the Gutenberg moment in healthcare of hey, now this patient is back at the center. I love the panel as well on the crying out for please put this patient central. And I think it's happening more and more. Similar to one of the other UPS strategies, which is the e-commerce, where we see that consumers are more and more demanding on where their shipments, where their deliveries, and the visibility. And there's so much happening in the world now, and the same things are happening in healthcare. So patients will see you now as a critical thing. What I'm going to show you is, we talked about telemedicine, and we believe as part of our home healthcare strategy that telemedicine is again, helping that patient on the convenience side. So it's much more convenient to indeed use telemedicine, and many of you have seen it, maybe some of you haven't. So one of the partners that we're testing the waters with, again in the UK, where we got our Polar Speed brand as well, is the folks from Babylon Health. So I'd just like to show you two little movies. And Babylon, they're in the UK, very NHS driven, so we work together, and also for the NHS, they work for the NHS, we work for the NHS, what we do in our home delivery services. And so this is just AI at work. So when I met them the first time, Umang Patel, the chief medical officer, about 5 years ago, there were 5 people, neither 500. The 495 are just indeed programmers who've been programming how doctors think. So probably you've seen it. I'll show you a minute, and then we'll go to how the interaction with the patient is. And it ends with, hey, we can send a nurse, or we can actually call 911 or 112. So there's different things for how we like to work together. So this is not all UPS. We are looking for networks. We're looking for partners. We're looking for these kind of partners actually to make the supply chain work better.
Hi Alexa, I want to speak to Babylon.
Sure, I forgot the introduction. So this is indeed through the Alexa. I think we saw We saw the Alexa device earlier on as well. So this is a real life example of how this would work.
Hi Alexa, I want to speak to Babylon.
Hello, Louise. How can I help you?
Well, I've been feeling a bit dizzy recently.
I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me a bit more? Do you feel like the room is spinning, or are you feeling faint?
Yeah, sometimes it feels like the room's spinning.
And have you noticed any hearing loss?
Yeah, I have actually.
Do you have a ringing, buzzing, or humming sound in one or both ears?
Yeah, both ears. It's horrible.
Do you have any pain in your ears?
No.
Have you had a fever?
No, none.
Have you noticed any discharge coming out of your ears?
No.
Looking at your user graph, I can see you had glandular fever a few months ago.
Oh yeah, that was awful.
For how long have you been unwell with these symptoms now?
A couple of months.
Finally, have you noticed that your ears are feeling full or blocked?
Yes, actually.
I think I might know what's been causing your symptoms. It is most likely to be Meniere's disease, a condition of the inner ear that can affect balance and hearing. It could also be labyrinthitis, an infection of the nerve in the ear. Meniere's disease needs a specialist opinion and might be helped with some medicine to reduce the dizziness, so I'd recommend talking to one of our GPs.
Sure, sounds good.
Dr. Gartrot is available straight away, and according to your calendar, so are you. Would you like me to book your appointment?
Yes, please.
All booked. Your phone will ring in just a minute when the appointment starts.
So what I learned as well, this is now in the UK. The second country where they're going is in the US, and again, I'm not a reseller of Babylon, there's different platforms and they work in similar ways. Third country they're in is Rwanda. I like that example because they really move from, there's only 800 doctors in that country for 11 million inhabitants. So they want to move to this kind of triage platform as well to be better able to address it. So again, this is default installed in an app on all the Samsung phones in the US now. So this is all free. This is free service. And then you sign up for the next one. And I like to see this as well. Some of us talked about it today as well, and how the interaction can be much better with the patient and how you can actually read the state of mind and how AI is helping the doctor to come to a true diagnosis. Again, because the AI is not allowed to call that a diagnosis. So let's hear around what's happening next.
Hi Louise, my name is Dr. Coltide Archer. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
So I can see you've completed our AI assessment. And from this, can I confirm that you've been having dizziness for a few months now, with some hearing loss and also some ringing in your ears?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. You look quite comfortable at the moment. So does the dizziness come and go?
Yeah, I don't have it at the moment.
Okay. And when you do get the dizziness, how long do the symptoms last?
A few hours at a time, I'd say, probably. Yeah.
Okay. And does changing the position of your head bring on the dizziness? Sorry, what I mean to say is, do you get dizzy, for example, when you turn your head to look to one side or when you turn over in bed?
Oh, okay. No.
Have you felt sick or vomited when you get the dizziness?
No.
And is there anything else you wanted to tell me about your symptoms? For example, have you had any headache, any weakness, any numbness at all?
No.
Okay. According to our records, you also had glandular fever a few months ago. Has that all settled?
Yeah, that was awful. That's gone now.
Great. I mean, just looking at the blood test results from back then, they all came back normal as well.
Great.
So I would agree with our AI assessment. It looks like your symptoms are being caused by an ear condition called Meniere's disease. This causes a build-up of pressure within the balance center, and that's what causes those awful dizzy episodes that you've been getting.
Okay.
The most important thing now is to relieve those awful symptoms. So I'd like to prescribe something called prochlorperazine. Can I just double check you're not pregnant at all?
No chance of that.
And you're not allergic to any medications?
No.
Okay. So I'll send that prescription to your usual pharmacy. It'll take around an hour or so.
Okay.
Does that all sound okay?
It sounds a little bit serious.
Well, as you found out, the symptoms can be really serious when you have them, but Meniere's itself usually isn't, and it can be really well managed with the medication.
Okay, thanks.
One thing to mention, given that it looks like you do have Meniere's disease, this could put you at a higher risk of getting migraines. So I'd like you to do a migraine risk assessment, and that way we can see if there's anything that we can help you to reduce your risk.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Great. Okay, so I'll just run through the next steps to confirm your diagnosis and how to take the medication safely.
So for me, this is how it comes together. How we see 46% of medical care move to the patient's home, enabled by telehealth. That's really addressing how the convenience, choice, and control that we're seeing that patients are having more and more. So, just a little bridge. So, some of you might have seen this. So, logistics and healthcare. Some people think about drones delivering blood. Yeah, that's happening as well, but that's not really at the heart of where our strategy is to go. Some of you might have seen indeed that we're moving in directions. So this was an announcement by Reuters recently indicating collaboration between UPS and Merck on vaccine delivery at home. So it's really, for us, it's starting. And there's different regulatory landscapes. Some countries where we can do it earlier than some other countries. But this is now happening for us as well. We're really moving into that final mile. That's not brown anymore with a guy with shorts, but that's more and more turning into white. And again, these are the first stages. I love to talk how this impacts you, and especially how this will impact actually your patients that might be more and more at home. So to close it off, so our global strategy in there is really to provide everything that we do, whether it's using our own assets or asset lights, nursing networks we work with, or other partners, with one quality system actually supporting everything that we do. Providing full visibility, and that's not just where's my shipment, that's full visibility on all the data elements that a shipment might have. Control, to be able to retrieve, recall, make sure that you always know, using currently the new EU FMD about serialization, what is where, what's being used, what is not. And making sure we deliver together with the partners, you and the different parties in the field, that ultimate customer experience. To help, in the end, support patients that services that are convenient at a lower cost, that increase control. That can actually help the adherence, as mentioned before as well. That can support to underpin clinical pathways in value-based healthcare. For instance, diabetes care is one of these areas that we're looking at this moment in time. And provide back to you different service levels. You might have Q-tips, cotton swab diapers that require totally different supply chain logistics than your life-saving drugs. And we, as companies showing up at these thresholds, we need to make sure that we help you there. And again, for us, that patient centricity really translates into that it's a patient and not a package. So with that, I look forward to discussions later tonight, maybe over dinner, and I thank you for your attention very much. Thank you.